everybody. We've been asked several times to cut up a whole chicken and show you guys how it's done. So that's what we're going to do today. We are at our Craven County Buyers Club pickup, our host Susan Farrar's house. And we're going to go through this and kind of show you the breakdown, and we'll post it for Facebook for everybody to see. There are two reasons that we sell the chicken whole instead of by the cut. I know everybody is used to purchasing by the cut and being able to choose exactly what you want to cook each night for dinner, and so that's a little less convenient when you purchase from us, but we do it for a reason. One of the reasons that we do it is because we aren't raising boneless, skinless chicken breasts out in the pasture for 7 weeks, trying to keep them alive to get them to slaughter weight. We are raising a whole bird, a whole chicken, a living, breathing animal, and we believe that you should make use of every bit of that animal. We do not want to waste anything. If we were to cut up chicken and just take endless amounts of pre-orders for the breast, we would sell nothing but the breast, and we would be up to our neck in dark meat, and that's just not very efficient for us as a business. We also do it because we want you to become familiar with the food that you eat and understand that it was a living, breathing animal. I think it's easy to stay detached from your food when you buy it at the grocery store and it's served on a styrofoam plate. And you don't really have to make the connection between, how it started out and how it got there before you eat it. And so when you purchase the whole animal, you're kind of being forced to get in there and get your hands dirty a little bit and think about where your food comes from. We also sell the whole bird because it's a more economical choice. If we were to sell just the breast, like everybody prefers, then we would have to charge a really high price for that just to make up for what we don't sell in dark meat. And so we kind of need you to learn how to use the whole bird, make use of it, because it's better for us and it's more economical for you. The whole price per pound on a whole chicken is just a much cheaper price than what we could offer for the breast. And you can do several things with the whole chicken by cutting it up. It's very versatile. I always say the magic number for chickens as far as cutting up and prepping meals for a family of 4, which is, I guess, the average size family. You'll have to kind of do more or less depending on your family size. But for a family of 4, I would always suggest cutting up 3 chickens at the time. Reason being, if you do that, you can get up to 7 or 8 meals out of 3 birds by cutting them up and portioning them out. So I'm going to start with this chicken, and what you'll need is your cutting board, obviously, your chicken thawed out, and a knife. This is my chicken killing knife, what I do my dirty work with. I probably shouldn't say that, but... And I also try to keep a couple Ziploc bags handy just because it's easier when you're portioning it out to be able to separate it and put it in the bag for later. Okay, so let me cut the bag open. And Jamie, if you'll zoom in on this part a little bit, because this is where they kind of need to see. So when you get the whole bird from us, it's going to look just like this. And it's going to be fully dressed, meaning there's nothing in the cavity. So we've already done the dirty work for you. Basically, what you have to do is section it out how you want to cook it. The legs are going to be intact, and to start, you'll just remove that skin off the legs just to kind of loosen it up. When we process and clean chickens, we refer to it as dressing the bird, but in this case, when you're cutting it up, you're almost undressing the bird. You can call it undressing instead. Dressing would be to get all of the innards out, and undressing would be to cut it up. Okay, so I want the breast face up and the legs pointing in my direction to start. And what I always do is I start on the outside on the limbs and work my way in toward the breast. So I'm going to start with the left leg. And what you'll do where the leg meets the breast is make just a clean cut. You don't have to cut too deep. You just have to break the skin so that you can get in there and pop the joint. So I did one cut right there. Then I'm going to take my hand on the leg and apply pressure and pull it out. And sometimes I'll take my other hand because I can get a better grab on it like that. But basically you want to hear the joint pop where the thigh meets the hip. And when you do that, you've separated it enough that you should be able to cut both dark meat quarters out. So you want the leg quarter laying flat on the table. So if it doesn't lay flat comfortably, then you haven't really popped it good enough. So like I said, bear down on it and give it a good pull. Once you do that, you're going to do your first cut in between the leg and the thigh. And what you're aiming for is getting in between the joints. And so I just try to line it up where I think they meet each other, where it looks like the leg ends and the thigh begins. Now, if you try to cut in and there's not a clean, easy cut, then you need to readjust your knife. That means that you're not in the right spot. So I'm starting right here, and so far so good. I guess I've been doing this long enough, I know where it goes, but this is basically what you're looking for. Right here, where you see the white, you're going to want to cut right in between that. And you will have to reposition your knife sometime because you don't always start in the right place. So there's your leg. You've separated that from the thigh. And once you do that, we're going to turn the chicken over to the side. Whichever side that you're cutting, you want that face up. So I'm going to get the chicken on its side and then pull on the thigh a little bit. Start down here, cutting that skin to break it away. And you want to be, when you're cutting near the bone, you want to take your time with it, because if you rush, you're going to leave way too much meat on the bone and then you're wasting. You're not going to get what you paid for. So I'm going to start right here near the tail. If you see, that's the tail. And I'm going to start just kind of moving the knife along the backbone. And if you're cutting it right, it'll break easily. Right here, when you get to the lower back, when you've worked your way up a little bit, there's a little piece of meat called the oyster. This is a very tender piece of meat that not many people know about, but you definitely don't want to leave it on. So that's your thigh right there. So we've done our first quarter, we've done 2 clean cuts, and then we're going to flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. Now I've got the Ziploc bags for this reason. Once I start cutting up, I run out of room and I start to make a mess. And so I'll just separate my portions. I've got legs in that bag and thighs in here. And we'll get to them later. So now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Do a clean cut between the leg and the breast where the skin is. Pop it out by applying pressure with your thumb and the rest of your fingers on the bottom. And you'll know that you've done it correctly when it lays comfortably on the cutting board with no effort. So now I'm going to try to make my cut in between the thigh and the leg. And if you see how it broke very easily, I'm cutting in the correct place, because if I wasn't and I was cutting through bone or cartilage, it would have been a lot tougher to get through it than that. So now I'll keep cutting through. If you need to lift it up to cut through the skin, you can do that as well. So we'll put the leg in there, turn it over on its side. Here's where you're going to get near the tail and cut that skin just to kind of break it free. So you can, first thing you have to do is break that skin away so you can get to the meat and the bone. Then I'm cutting very, very close to the bone, the backbone, to get all of that meat, so I'm not wasting anything. And there's your other thigh. So after we do the dark meat, or the leg quarters, we're going to flip it back on its back, so breast is face up. To do the wing, turn it over on its side. Get a good grip on the wing, and do kind of a couple little cuts right here where the wing meets the breast, and that socket. And again, you're looking for the joint and all that white stuff. Whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to start cutting until I see it, and see it's appearing more and more as I cut. I'm just working my way around both sides, and I just have to cut in between the two. And there you go. There's your first wing. Do the same thing with the other one. Flip it over. Give it a good cut. I call it the armpit. You gotta think about this like it's a body, like our body. Okay, and then we're looking for the white again. Right there at the joint. Okay, got both of those. So now, put both wings in the bag. And now we're moving on to the breast. So when you've got nothing but the breast left, do breast face up. And you've got this layer of skin right here that you want to kind of start tearing with your fingers to move it and separate it from the meat. I just kind of work my way around, and you gotta get a little dirty. You gotta get in there. Once you break all that away, you can start doing your breast. So lay it on the side after that and begin with whichever side you want to. This part you need to be very careful with and cut as close to the inside where that rib bone is, because if you don't, you're going to leave a lot of breast meat on the chicken, and we all know this is what everybody wants the most. So I'm going to cut right here. The breast almost makes like a heart shape, so start right there on the inside where it looks like a heart, and you can feel the bone on the bottom of the blade. So just start working your knife as close into that bone as you can. And then when you get to the tip, you're going to work your way around this way. And just kind of saw it off. Okay, there's your breast. Now what you see right here on the inside is your tenderloin. You can cut this, or you can cut it with the breast, leave it intact and prepare it with the breast, or you can cut it separate like I do. Sometimes I'll make like homemade chicken strips or just little tenders for my kids. It's a little separate meal that they can have if they don't like what we're having for dinner one night. So with the tenderloin, you're kind of going to do the same thing. You're going to carve it just like the breast. And try to get all that, as much meat out as you can. Sometimes I do better than others. Let's see. There you go. There's one tenderloin right there. Okay, I'm going to flip it over and do this side. On the other side, I started up here at the top of the breast, but just the way it's angled now, I'm going to start at the bottom. It doesn't matter, however it feels comfortable to you. You're basically just going to work your way around the bone. If you have any of that left over, you want to get it off because it's slimy stuff. You don't really want to cook that. Just work it out. There's a tenderloin. And like I said, you can prepare it with your breast or separate. And there you have it. When you get done, you've got this carcass here. Most people make stock with it that know how to use a whole bird. If you don't, you've probably just thrown it away in the past, but do not throw this away. It's got the neck on it, and it's got some tender meat, and it's going to make a great chicken stock that you can use for your rice or your greens or other vegetables. Make soup with it. It's just as valuable, and we try to make use of every part of the chicken so you can make it go a long way. If you do this with all three birds, like I said, if you put up 3 chickens at the time, you're going to end up with 6 of each cut. So 6 breasts, 6 thighs, 6 wings, 6 legs, and then you'll have 3 carcasses for the stock. But if you do that, you can make several meals. I often make chicken quesadillas, chicken salad, chicken and rice, or chicken and pastry. I do a chicken casserole. I do a honey mustard and maple syrup glaze on the dark meat sometimes and bake it in the oven, or we make hot wings. The options are endless, but you can get really creative with the dark meat, and you'll find that over time, after you learn how to use the dark meat, that you'll probably prefer it over the white meat because it has more flavor. So one more thing I want to show you. The thighs, in my opinion, are the most flavorful cut. They're often overlooked because people are so used to using the chicken breast. But in restaurants, majority of the time, you think you're eating a breast and you're eating a thigh. And it's because the chef prefers it, because it has more flavor. And so the one thing that's kind of a challenge with the thigh is the bone. We can use it like breast meat, but we have to take care of that bone and get it out of there. You can debone it very easily yourself. And basically all you do is get a hold of that bone and just kind of carve around it. You can even roll it out. There's no perfect way to do it, but it can be done fairly easily. And, you know, another reason we don't do this is it's very time consuming for us, but it's something, if you only have 2 or 3 birds to do it to, you can do it at home a little easier than we can when we're processing 300 at the time, and I've got to get it done in a certain amount of time. All right, so I got that out. Now I've got to get this little chunk that was already kind of separated. There we go. There's a boneless thigh. You can pull the skin off too if you want. Just depends on what you want to do with it. Let's do this one real quick. I'll probably just kind of try to roll it out as I cut it. That seems to work the best. And you can't keep all the meat off of it, but you want to try. So just take your time and kind of carve it out. There we go. Okay. And you've got boneless thighs now. So that's it for now. Now you know how to cut up a chicken. I suggest next slaughter when you order, if you have kids, you know, try 3 chickens at a time and get your hands dirty and just get familiar with the whole bird and try this out. You'll be really glad you did, and you'll save some money in the long run. And then you can start buying your chicken from us 100% of the time instead of compromising and going to the grocery store and buying boneless, skinless chicken breast that we all know is not raised humanely. So that's it for now. See you later.